I didn't have money to spend on art and whatnot. So I had to go to these businesses and tell them, you guys need a website, let me build a website for you. I just stumbled across entrepreneurship. I came from a medical background. I didn't really farm the word, entrepreneurship. One of the best things that I've seen work for me is stepping out. Most people underplay the capacity or the efficacy of stepping out, of just taking that first step.
Hey everybody, once again, welcome to another episode of the Entrepreneurs Connect show. And today, as always, I'm with another amazing guest in the house. This is somebody I've known for a while now. We've known for around 3 years.
Yeah.
But funny how we've never met in person.
Yeah, we haven't.
I think the internet is an amazing thing. I think it's one of the greatest gifts that mankind ever has had. I've had people I've been interacting with for years. We've never met. I have people outside the country. I have people in the country. We've never met. I've done big business. We've done all of that. So it's amazing meeting you today and having you on the show.
Yes, same here.
Thank you for breaking your busy schedule. And when I sent you a message earlier, are you going to be in Lagos around this period? I'm out of the country. I'm okay. But we just said, let me ask again.
Right.
And surprisingly,
I was in town.
Surprisingly, you were in town.
Yes, I was in town.
Is still IJG Bishal when I was in town.
Right.
So, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Clinton. Now, there's this Clinton that people know.
Yes.
But there's the Clinton that they didn't know. So, I need to tell me, where does your story start? When you think about the Clinton Nnaemeka you have become today, where did this journey start for you?
Okay, first off, thank you for having me. So for me, I think it started off 10, 15 years ago, right? I think really just that kid who was looking to actually, just make a name for himself. That's one. And then see how to make a tremendous impact, no matter how small, right? And to do big things from a small place, right? So, it just started way back 10, 15 years ago. The kid who was still trying to get into graphic designing. This is so far.
Would you say you're a born entrepreneur, or would you say entrepreneurship is something you have to pick up and learn?
Yeah. I would say that entrepreneurship was something for me. It was something that I had to do. In fact, I just stumbled across entrepreneurship, the word entrepreneurship, because for me, back then, what I was particular about was really just tech, getting into tech, just doing my graphics designs for 1, 2 people, and that was it. I didn't really farm the word, entrepreneurship. If it was only later, I was like, oh, this is such entrepreneurship. So personally, I stumbled across tech. That was, I got into a church, got to meet someone who was into graphics designing, and then I met him and saw he was doing amazing. What you're doing now was what he was doing back then. Selling digital products online and doing a lot actually. So I got to learn under him, right? And so far, I was like, okay, let me just do this shit for a long time. And I noticed that I could do this shit. I could do this, and then so far this is how it has come about.
Can you take me back to your earliest memory when it comes to starting a business? How was it like for you? What was the very first business you started?
Okay, so I've not really been traditional. That's the whole, buying and selling stuff. This is why, like you mentioned, I give thanks to the internet, right? So for me, starting off was the first money I made was from building websites for people, right? So I usually used to, back then at the East, I would go to companies. And tell them, you say, you guys...
Just like that.
Exactly, just like that.
Who give you guts?
It's still shocking to me because at that point, I was so confident going to businesses. I did not care about, is that young guy is disturbing us about websites. That was my problem. I used to normally map out, which company should I go to tell them that I need to build websites for them. Because I couldn't just sit down and tell myself, I'm into tech, let me just reach out to people online. It wasn't working per se. I did learn it online, right? But then the clients I needed to get wasn't possible online because, I didn't have money to spend on art and whatnot. So I had to go to these businesses and tell them, you guys need a website, let me build a website for you. And so, from there, I found an interest in building startups. Because I came from a medical background. And so while in medical school, I noticed that, I have affinity towards tech. Then I told myself, I'm going to pursue this long term. And it's been interesting so far.
Book smart or street smart? What do you think has helped you so far?
Definitely not street smart, but book smart with a mix of street smart.
Tell me about it.
Okay. So, I loved reading. Up to now, I love reading, actually,
What's the best book you've read on business?
No, not that business kind of reading. Okay. It's school. Medical school, you have to.
You went to medical school?
Yes,
Interesting.
You have to read. So it wasn't that kind of reading. So I think that for me, what has helped me a lot is sales. Being able to, because starting up, I needed to sell myself. Yeah. I needed to sell things.
So did you learn how to sell by being book smart or being street smart?
Street smart, not book smart. Because book smart has never helped anybody, to be honest. So I think I learned it from being street smart. Being able if I go meet you and I'm selling something to you, I get to learn from that interaction, right? And then, with time, I get to be better and I get to sell more better things to more people, right? So I would say that one of the best things that I've seen work for me is stepping out. You have the idea, you're sitting down, you want to do this, you want to do that, I really just step out and do it, if I tell myself, okay, I need to achieve this within this time frame, the only way to achieve it is by just stepping out and starting with one step, right? And then you'll figure it out along the way.
What do you wish you knew before you started? And if you could go back again, what would you do differently?
I think the question is still immature. Right? I think the question is still immature to answer now because I'm still figuring things out.
I know. And I don't think there's going to ever be a point where you're not figuring things out.
Okay.
I think, for example, let's look at the big business people right now. Let's look at the Tony Lumen. Let's look at the Dangotes. And they are still figuring things out. For example, when Dangote started the refinery, he didn't know anything about refinery and all that. You have to figure things out all the way. So figuring things out is a journey that will always be there.
Yeah.
So that begs my question.
Okay.
Right. What do you know today that you wish you knew when you started? I think that is a better way to ask it.
So what do I know today that I wish I knew before or earlier? Yeah. Earlier on. I would say is the ability to put yourself out there. So initially, I had a more myopic thought about content creation, about putting out content, about being out there. I was really the person that I'm more like, let me do the back end while someone else does the front end. The whole spotlight and whatnot. You get so, and if I knew better earlier, I would have been out there more. Because I pretty much started putting out content later because I felt that, or I used to feel like, I'm more better at the back end, doing my thing with no one seeing me, that kind of thing. But then recently I've realized that, people get to connect more with you and with what you're doing if you show up more. Right?
Profound.
Exactly. So, and then I have begun to start putting myself out there more recently, and if I had known this earlier, I'd have started off much more earlier to being out there.
Profound. Yeah. So you went from being a graphic designer, to what you do today, the founder of Spark Africa.
Yes.
What was that transition like? What was the journey like?
I would say that I stumbled across these things along the way. I didn't have like a defined path. Yeah. Okay, so first off, I was doing, in fact, I started doing IT, not even graphics design per se. IT, that was back then in school, all right? So IT, graphics design. Then I saw that there was an opportunity to kind of put in web design as an add-on to the service I was offering to my clients. And I saw it was going to expose me to more bigger clients or a bigger market, actually. So I said, okay, let me add on web designing. And then, I tried that for a while. And then I noticed that what I was doing was literally just building a startup.
Yeah.
I was literally just building a business online. And, and I had a keen interest towards the whole startup ecosystem, right? And I had friends who were building amazing businesses. And then, I was like, okay, let me just venture into this and see where that would lead me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm quite curious. You studied medicine in school?
Not medicine, medical school.
You went to medical school?
Yeah, medical school. So I studied medical biochemistry. All right. So initially, I would still go back to school actually because I have a deep passion for medicine and surgery.
Yeah.
So my transition in the whole medical line was medical biochemistry, med surg, and then neurosurgery, and then medical law.
Interesting.
Right. So that was, and I'm still going to go back.
That was like the kind of trajectory for you.
Exactly,
So
the trajectory.
Where did you cut it short?
Right at East Utero.
It's quite interesting that a lot of people that don't finish school, quote unquote.
I finished school though. I finished school, but then it's just like, at the side.
Yeah. It's just like there. So I did civil engineering in school.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I never knew.
You never know. Yeah. Exactly. Mark Angel was the last guest on the show.
Oh.
He did medicine in school. You would never know.
I would never know.
Right? So I know someone else, another person like that is, although there's a doctor to name that Dr. Ola Brown, that's very much involved in like tech and startup ecosystem today. Studied medicine in school.
And she's a doctor.
She's a doctor today, but she's not exactly like a doctor now.
She doesn't practice.
Yeah, she doesn't practice.
Yes, she doesn't. And I think that really, one thing about this is that you could have a passion for something, and still have passion for another thing. Yeah. You get, for Olabra, I don't know, but I would presume that she stumbled across finance and the whole investment. Exactly. And she was like, let me try this out.
One passion I take on that.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that she can't, go back to the hospital and maybe recommend or even treat patients, right? But then, at this point, this is what she's doing, and if she wants to go back, she will.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I would do.
I have a theory that many billionaires, their careers are largely divorced from what they studied in school.
Exactly. I think so too. You could take the late Herbert, for instance. You would say that he just recently got into law school, right? And then what he studied in school was way different from the whole banking and finance, right? So really, I think, it could be, a diversion of passions, or, just stumbling across something, or even just trying to make money. You go to school and there is no job. You have to get...
pivot.
Exactly. You have to pivot. So, I think so too.
Interesting. So tell us about Spark Africa.
Okay.
How did you conceive the idea? Okay. So I was thinking about it just this evening.
Yeah.
This dude has big balls.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. But you say, let me just start a company and start bootstrapping and scale. Yeah. You literally went to the heart of the ecosystem.
Yes.
And today you're in the event business, organizing events that literally gather startups from across Africa and all over the world. Yes. So how did you conceive the idea? How did you even come about the name, for example?
So the name is a very interesting thing and a very interesting story. The name wasn't rocket science. So one evening, I think I was at a workspace. So I was listening to this music that was so good, right? And I just opened my phone to look at the album, and the album cover's name was Spark.
Interesting.
That was it. That was,
and then you added Africa.
I was like, yeah, Africa. I mean, Africa. Even now, I am divorcing the two names, but I mean, I just added Africa there. So, and yeah, that was how the name came about, actually. And then initially, before events, actually, so what I used to do was hold trainings. Okay. I came up, my last training was one I did with Harvesters Church and Access Bank. I trained the Harvesters Abuja community in marketing and sales. Interesting. Right. So, and after that, I mean, I woke up one day with a passion to just, I was like, fuck this shit. I can have an event that is bigger than this, and yeah, this is it.
That's, I mean, so I would say that's one of the traits of like very successful entrepreneurs. Actually. Yeah. Guts.
Yes.
The ability to see something and I can do it, and then go ahead and like execute ruthlessly.
I think so too. I think that, I mean, I'm still figuring things out now, but then I think that because even the first event that we had was, let me be lenient and not use the word terrible. All right, let me be lenient, but it wasn't so good. Yeah. Right?
I mean, you're the one that say it now.
Exactly.
So it was good.
Yeah. So, but then the consistency to do better and try to ensure that each new step or each new activity is better than the last one. You get, because you can't figure it out, and it takes a lot of patience and learning and also unlearning of things, right? To kind of, take the best steps. So I would say, one thing that works for me, I don't know about any other person, is really just taking that first move and not bothering about it. Oh, will it fail? Will it, are we going to be able to raise the money we need? This one, that one. It is really, I really just focus on, I don't focus on the wins or the losses. I just start. Then along the line, I kind of figure it out. If it works, good. If it doesn't work, I mean, I look for something else to do. You get, so
beautiful.
So I think it's our guts that's, I think it is.
Let's talk about relationships for a bit.
Okay, let's do.
Don't be scared. I'm not talking about
No. I'm not. Trust me.
So within the ecosystem, right?
Yes.
Are you able to like relate with a lot of people, big names in the ecosystem, and all of that. So who's this ordinary guy? How did you get to the point where you start relating with these people? How do you build, nurture relationships, and how do you advise other entrepreneurs watching this show to build and nurture relationships?
Well, I won't call myself this guy. I mean, I won't call myself this guy.
It's okay to be proud.
Thank you.
To be proud.
Thank you. So, but then I think that one thing about relationships is that you don't use it as a means to an end. Yeah. Right? I think, and then I'm not even particular about building a relationship. Oh, let me just meet you to build. I kind of want to do my thing and make it speak for itself. Right? I want to be able to give you value, and then if that is a good relationship built, that's a plus. If it is not, that's a minus. Okay, so I really just believe in the aspect of doing things and then providing value with the things that you do, and then intentionally build relationships that can be nurtured and then that can be progressive. You get, so I don't say it has a means to an end. I say it has a way that let us collaborate. You don't know what would come out of this, and just see how that can go from there.
Interesting. So relationships is first of all about people. Right? Exactly. So if I get what you're saying that you're not dealing with a business opportunity, you're not dealing with the next person you're going to meet to raise, you're not dealing with the next recommendation. You're first dealing with a human, right? And at the core, every human is somebody that can be valuable to them. And if you can be valuable to people, then you can build and nurture relationships.
Exactly. And then I think one thing too is the concept of growth. So, if you want to build with somebody, so if you want to build a relationship with somebody, you need to realize that the people you want to build relationships with are growing constantly, right? And then you need to grow. because people only associate with people that that kind of I wouldn't say peers per se, but I would say people that are doing amazing things, interesting things, right? So I would say the key foundation of everything about relationship building is really on the aspect of, number one, doing things that provide value to people, and not seeing relationships as a means to an end.
Now, what do you think, in your opinion, is the most challenging thing about organizing large-scale tech events?
That's a dicey one. Okay. So, one thing about events is that they have to do something. I mean, that is how I see it, because there are several events out there, okay? And these events have different narratives, promise different things and whatnot. And then the most challenging thing about this event is being able to promise something and be able to deliver and even over-deliver on those promises. Which is why we kind of put a lot of attention into experiences, because I want you to come to this event and be able to get utmost value from this event. Okay? And I mean, the way I say it is this. I say it as, I want you, Joseph, to attend the Tech Expo and be able to see your next biggest partner. Yeah. Be able to see maybe your fiancé. Exactly.
That's a good point.
Exactly. I want you to come and really just get value from this event, which is why we're constantly evolving to ensure we kind of provide the best experience and the best value to our both partners, participants, and the likes.
So in your opinion, right, what opportunities are there today? What would you say are the, like, is it niches you call it now? What would you say are the most exciting niches investors are looking out for today in tech?
I would say number one is fintech. Now, it might appear as a saturated sector, but it's still a sector that hasn't been totally permeated.
Yeah.
Investors that I interact with are constantly on the lookout for fintech. But another side to it is investors are more focused on sectors or entrepreneurs that have the ability to scale. Fintech is interesting, and health tech is interesting. EdTech is interesting. Also, prop tech is interesting. Now, but then it's still dependent on the market. Okay. But one thing that is the foundation of it all is that investors are on the lookout for niches or sectors that can grow exponentially. Yeah. Now, we're saying from 5x or 2x, from 2 to 100, 3 to 100, 5 to 100. That's why VCs normally give you a gap of, say, 5 to 10 years. And they don't want you to times 2 their investments. They don't want you to times 3. They want to times 100 their investments.
You want to see the next unicorn, basically?
Yes and no. Yes, because obviously, if you get to 100 times, you should be, a unicorn or almost a unicorn. Yeah. But also, they want to exit. If you come to investment, there are sectors to it or sides to it. There's VCs who are looking out for sectors that can grow exponentially, and they want to. If they're investing in you, they are looking out for two things. Number one is, can I find somebody in the future that can be able to buy you out and give me back my returns? So they are looking at the exit plan. How are you going to exit this business?
They're basically seeing how to build for exit.
Exactly. And then that bubbles down into a lot as to the market size, the market share, your growth levels, and a lot of things. Then there's the PE side of things. Now, PEs don't really want
just to make sure that everybody's following.
Okay.
PE means private equity, right?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Why this is
VC means venture capital.
Yeah, venture capital. Exactly. Okay. So PEs, they don't necessarily want to 10 times their profits, but they want to see an ever-growing book. They want to see an ever-growing model that you must be growing, right? And then at some point, they can stay with you for life, or they can get to exit the business. But there must be a growth level, okay? And then it must be an interesting sector, and sometimes it can align with their causes and what they believe in, okay? So, sorry, I kind of derailed, but back to your question. Yeah. Exciting sectors for investors. I would say tech as a whole is exciting, and to pinpoint, fintech is good, health tech is good, ed tech is good, prop tech is good. Also, a few other sectors like the whole API sectors. But then you just need to solve a problem, because lately we've seen copies of this already existing products. Wearing hats as though they are businesses, but they're literally just copies of already existing businesses, right?
Well, so not trying to do anything different.
Exactly. So I would say that, if you're building something and you want to raise funds from investors, it must be unique, right? Even if it is not unique, but it must solve a problem, and it must have a capacity to scale, right? And to grow, you can't, and I just wish more people can be able to distinguish between a startup and an SME, right?
What's the difference?
So really SMEs are more traditional businesses.
Yeah.
Now, these people cannot use tech to scale their products, right?
They can use tech though, but they cannot necessarily use tech too.
Exactly. And then they can't grow exponentially.
Yeah.
Startups on the other line, you can leverage tech to grow exponentially, to scale exponentially by taking 50x, 100x. Now, because for example, you can see how a fintech can grow from 1,000 users to over 50 million, like the Money Point guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So really, this is it actually.
Makes sense. So, why do you think it's important that entrepreneurs, especially people building in tech, why do you think it's important that they attend tech-related events and all of that?
Have you attended one recently?
I've attended a couple.
What was the value you
not to try to sell me now on why? On why? I think they are great. I think my opinion is events are great.
Can you pinpoint a particular benefits you got from the most recent tech event that you attended?
The most recent event I attended, would I call it tech? So it's like a tech creators event, African Creators Summits, organized by OJ.
Yeah.
I attended the event. So I've been following up with Mark Angel for a while to get him on my podcast on this show, right? We both stay in Port Harcourt. But so we have seen like maybe 1, 2, 3 times, and we had like booked down the date. It didn't happen. But I tried reaching out to his team and everything. It didn't happen. So I came for African Creators Summit, and then I meet Mark Angel again. I was like, bro. And then we shake hands, we hung out like for a bit, and then we fixed another date. And that worked, and the show happened. Besides that, I got to meet like other
there
people,
you have your answer.
And all of that, networks.
That's your answer.
And all that. So yeah.
That's your answer.
I see. So he just used me to reverse.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So that's your answer. I mean, you can't underplay or water down the effect of tech events. Like they are an integral part of the whole tech ecosystem, right? Because you go there, and besides the practical value the event offers, is that you get to meet people you get to do business with for decades, right? And it gives you an opportunity to be able to see what's happening in the ecosystem, see how far you have to build. Right, and which is a good thing with Expos. So people are building, and you get stunned and more like inspired. right? You get to meet the players in the ecosystem. You get to connect with them on a personal note, right? Not trying to sell them your. I mean, you can't sell because that's also one good thing about this event. And then also they they learnings out of it. If there are panels, master classes, that's not the boring ones, but interesting ones. You get to learn firsthand from these conversations. And I mean, also being able to put yourself out there, right? If you have an active, representation at these events, you get to really get market traction out of these events. It can maybe you're exhibiting, you're just actively playing at the events. I think is very interesting. I mean, you can't, for whatever you do, you should never underplay the efficacy of tech events in Africa and in the tech ecosystem. It is very necessary. I just think that people. I mean, even the one we held in Abuja, one very stunning thing about that event was that there was this lady. She came with cards because her birthday was like 3 days after that event. Okay, so she came with cards, and the cards had her CV. And she told us that her plan was to be able to come there and meet an employer who would hire her before her event, sorry, her birthday. And so guess what? She came there and she was able to meet someone that's currently paying her about times 10 of her previous job or role. So I mean, you can't. I mean, the human nature alone wants to connect, wants to meet new people, doing the same or different things. So
what's one advice you give to entrepreneurs that they just don't seem to get?
So I'm not the aspire to perspire guy. So I don't even like giving advice at all. At all. It is not my thing. I just do your thing. I'm not advising. But then I think people underplay the power of stepping out. I think people wallow a lot in ideas that and they get to backtrack a bit, and they say that, oh, why has my life not changed when I've had all these beautiful ideas? I mean, even though most times when you step out, you get faced with challenges and whatnot, it is normal, okay? But then I think that we kind of most people underplay the capacity or the efficacy of stepping out. Of just taking that first step, because you've read a lot of books, you've watched a lot of podcasts. They are even watching yours right now, and they also watch a lot of videos, Lucy and the likes. They are getting inspired. The words are so big for them, and they're so full, right? And next thing, they're back to square one. Nothing's happening, right? So I think that we need to start actively taking that first step, having that guts, right, to move out, to do big things or start somewhere, right? So I wouldn't say it is an advice I've advised and they haven't taken, because I don't advise.
Well, you feel like everybody watching this should listen to you right now.
Exactly. I think that we should step out.
That makes sense.
More, right? We should say Nigeria and Africa as a whole, we're so, let me not use damned, I would say, but then we are so troubled with a lot of problems, right? And these problems can only be solved by major shakers in the ecosystem, by movers, right? And it can only happen when you say, okay, I want to solve this problem, right? And we don't have enough, or we can't have enough of problem solvers. We can never have enough of it. So I think that we need to start grasping the reality that these problems are around us can only be solved if we step out, right? And we do something about it, right? So enough of you complain about, oh, the government is not doing this, doing that. I mean, what are you doing? You get, I mean, yes, you have a 9 to 5, it's splendid, well done. But then, besides that, what are you doing actively to solve a problem, right? And I think that we would be in a much more better situation as a country, as a continent, if we had more problem solvers. And obviously, it is not cheap to solve problems.
Of course.
It's not cheap. right? You need money, right? But then, you have to start somewhere. You have to start without the money that you have. Ask yourself, I know I don't have the money, yeah? But what can I do right now to solve this problem that doesn't demand money, right? And just start doing those things. It could be maybe, picking up the debt, something, right? And then you would begin to notice, if you're consistent in that you would ask yourself, okay, the money hasn't yet come. I finished doing all I can do without money, right? What next? Then you would begin to realize that you can actually enter some interesting partnerships that can help you solve those problems. I'll give you a good step into solving those problems, right? And then hopefully the money would come, right? But then I realized that if you stay too long on something, or if you devote your time on something to a very great degree to solve a problem, somehow something would come to aid you, right? But then you have to be intentional about taking those steps to meet what would aid you. For example, reaching out to investors. You can't sit and say, okay, let this investor find me. You understand? It might not happen. Yeah. So you have to knock on those doors. It could be $50, $100, $200, $500, $1,000. But guess what? If you knock on $1,000, you can't tell me that one door will not open. Yeah. It is not possible. Yeah. If it happens, try $2,000.
One door must surely open.
Exactly. You get. But then you can't just sit there and say, the investor has to come and find you.
So I think at the core of this, everything you have said, stepping out is the word.
Stepping out is the word.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So tell us about your next event. Which one should we look out for? I saw some things. You're making some big moves, guys. So I've been seeing them blogs. I've been seeing articles about you. Yeah. Just today, I saw some stuff on Pulse.
Yeah, Pulse.
And I think I saw on another tech blog.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's next?
You'll still see more of those. But then, it's the Tech Expo. So we have the Africa Tech Expo, Africa Technology Expo, in June 22nd in Lagos. Really, the idea of the Expo is really just to bring together innovators, people making outstanding moves, building amazing solutions, bring them together in a room. And, you don't know what can come out of that. The kind of partnerships, investments, relationships that can be built out of those. But then really the idea of the Tech Expo is to celebrate African ingenuity, right? The emerging sectors, AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, IoT, robotics, and the likes, So it's in June, and it should be massive, right? It should be.
It will be massive, but
thank you. It would be, right? So, I'm also stoked about it. I'm looking forward to it as well. I think everyone should attend.
I should attend.
Yes.
I've been trying to be in one for the longest time.
Right.
Something just keeps coming up.
Right.
But June.
We are at your backyard. We're at your backyard.
No problem. Right. I try my very best to be.
No. Don't try.
To be there.
I
should be there.
You don't. No. You don't say. Trust me. You don't have to try. Just show up. Don't try. Just show up.
Interesting. I'll do my best to make sure that. In fact, I'll tell my people to block out my schedule, to block out my calendar for
looking forward to seeing
June
you there.
22nd, and then
looking forward to seeing
make myself. By the way, if you want to attend the African Technology Expo, that's what it is, right?
Yes.
There's going to be a link to get tickets in the description. How much does the ticket go for?
It's fair, don't worry.
It's
fair.
It's very fair.
It's very fair.
Right? There are like different tiers, different packages, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. There's a link just below this video,
and
then you can find it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
having me. Thank you for having me.
Hope to have you again next time.
Yeah, I do hope to shop around.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening ahead. I'll be there ahead, everybody. Tell them to subscribe to the channel.
Yes, subscribe to Kaizen, is it?
No, it's not. It's called the Entrepreneurs Connect Show.
Say, I don't think anyone should live on this earth without being a subscriber to the Entrepreneurs Connect.
That's it.
No. Say, you can't be building something important and they're not subscribing to your platform. It's not possible.
Did you hear that?
Yes, it's not possible. So I think you should subscribe. I think that he's doing an amazing work, bringing together entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things. And I'm sure you're going to have much more interesting people in the coming weeks. Yeah. So I think you won't afford to miss such interesting conversations.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care of yourself and bye-bye.